Brought to the world in 2007, with Samuel L. Jackson appearing to voice two of the main cast in this bloody, gruesome, mature anime, Afro Samurai caught wind. Now, fast forward to January 2009, the success of the anime led to a video game adaptation that came to be one of the best brawler hack and slash games ever, never mind anime games ever. The entire anime voice cast and music team returned for this video game adaptation, keeping it very faithful to the source material. Its distinct art style immediately sets apart from other games of the genre. The game has more colour than the anime does, but it's very desaturated to resemble the themes of the world and its lack of life, a world of only death. The game's adaptation takes it in a new direction using cel-shaded art style, which gives the characters and maps some life in this dark world. The game follows the same main plot as the original anime. It is said that the warrior who becomes number 1 will rule the world, wielding powers that most fear as God. Someone can only become number 1 by killing the previous number 1 and taking his ceremonial headband. However, in this dark ritualistic world, only the number 2 is allowed to challenge the number 1. Because of this, most people never ever reach number 1, because the number 2 headband is constantly changing owners. The number 2 lives a life of constant worry, fear, and battle. Afro's father was the number 1 a long time ago, until he was brutally killed by a gunman named Justice. Afro witnessed this slaughter as a child, but now as an adult, Afro Samurai is the current number 2, and is a master swordsman who seeks revenge on Justice. There is frequent and lengthy flashbacks throughout the story that shows Afro's rise from a frightened little boy fleeing the death of his father to a brutal samurai warrior, and eventually became the current number 2. The story in the present deals with adult Afro's journey to find the number 1 to duel Justice, while at the same time battling a mysterious cult known as the Empty Seven clan, as their agents and assassins repeatedly try to kill Afro and take his number 2 headband. It's a simple and interesting plot, but the execution is really cool and action-packed. It gets a little more detailed later on. The well-drawn cel-shaded art style fused with the fast brawler gameplay in its sleek combat system. You can combo kicks, parries, dodges, and various sword techniques at your enemies. The style and gameplay is fused together really well. Enemies sometimes appear through comic panels that pop on the screen. But unfortunately, it has stupid inverted controls you can't turn off and makes me want to kill myself. For a hack and slash game, it has surprisingly detailed fighting mechanics and isn't as fast paced as you'd think. The gameplay is somewhat slower, which I think is a good thing because it feels more grounded. It relies more on combos and utilising the full skill set rather than spamming your way through levels, especially when it comes to each level's boss fights. They can be extremely tricky and takes a little more care and precision, closer resembling a Souls game than a regular hack and slash. An interesting mechanic is the focus mode. The whole screen becomes absent of all colour and slows time, which resembles the same themes of the anime, but here you can charge attacks that slice your opponents in half. And fused with this, Ninja will appear and begin playing body part poker, where you have to cut specific limbs at the right moment to collect body parts and win. And speaking of Ninja, his personality contrasts perfectly to that of Afro, being a quiet, nonchalant murderer, and Ninja being a loud, bombastic, playful coward. Their dynamic pays off very well on screen. Ninja is a great comic relief. Just take a look.
What kind of man calls his son Afro Samurai anyways? Name like that, you know his life story is not going to be a happy one. If every woman I stuck my dick into died a few hours later, man, I put that shit on my resume. Then would that go under skills or other interests? Especially like how they captured the sadness in your eyes.
Been a long time.
Somebody been praying to the god of ass. You saw that, right? This some fucked up shit right here. I'm gonna go get some coffee. Keep an eye on that bullshit for me, will you? I can't believe that actually worked. Well, at least your throat came in useful for something. That shit's like a hairy crash helmet. Now, where the hell are we?
When you're lost in the game, pressing down on the D-pad spawns Ninja to tell you where to go, but if you use this too much, he will just outright refuse help.
I ain't telling you shit. You know damn well where you are. You better draw your bitch ass a map or something.
Health bars don't exist in this game. Instead, the health is portrayed through red lines across the body. The redder they are, the closer death is. And a creepy part of this game, which I'm going to be making a separate video on, would be the loading screens. I always welcome creative loading screens in games, we get such boring blank ones now, but these actually scared me a little, caught me off guard, like they genuinely freaked me out. Otsuru.
Shh, it's all right. You need to rest. Stay till the night's until the
Afro!
Time to talk about the story. Afro wakes up and is guided by Ninja. He searches for a guy in a bar, but everyone notices Afro and challenges him for the number 2 headband. As Afro chases this man and is swarmed by enemies, a mysterious giant figure, Brother 6, fights Afro and wins. Afro loses this fight against Brother 6 and suddenly wakes up in a flashback with a young Afro in his teen years as he searches for the number 2 headband. But as he enters the temple, inside the Daimyo is waiting for Afro Samurai and speaks to him, eerily mentioning his father. He finds a red room with ninja prostitutes, but pushes forward, and the man keeps speaking to him quietly, trying to discover what he wants, and surprisingly gasses the room. As Afro escapes, reaching the roof, he finds a fighting arena where he's swarmed by the soldiers of the Daimyo. As Afro tells him he's after the number 2 headband, he's mocked and taunted, resulting in the two fighting. Here we learn how to parry and have a real experience of a boss fight. It's not like regular hack and slash gameplay we've seen so far or in most hack and slash games. The boss fights in this game take strategy, patience and skill. Finally, Afro kills him and asks for the number 2 headband as a prize, only to find out his very own swordmaster is the number 2. Afro approaches his swordmaster in school and demands to know the truth, whether he is the number 2, but at this very moment, enemies invade the school searching for the headband. Afro and the Swordmaster fight their way through the school invasion and sound alarms, taking secret paths through the training grounds to flank the invasion across the edge of the island. After sounding bells, huge enemies breach the grounds with ninjas, and Afro closes the gates, stopping this portion of the invasion. When Afro returns to the school and discovers a girl, Otsuru is missing, amongst other children across the whole dojo. Another student is in denial. The number 2 headband represents everything the Swordmaster despises and refuses to admit that he could be the number 2. Side note here, even the sad music is absolute fire. After saving school kids, Afro finds Otsuru trapped behind fire. He's powerless to save her until the samurais breaching the school ground is gone. Luckily, she's saved by another student and they go to find and speak to the master, who is found under attack on top of the cliff. Afro proceeds alone to defend his master during the fight, but during the invasion, Otsuru was killed, and in despair, this student takes his own life, falling off the cliff with her corpse. The Swordmaster buried the headband at Afro's father's grave and shouts in anger at the world Afro craves to be a part of so much. In this anger, he wears the number 2 headband and accepts Afro's challenge, declaring the headband must be earned. This fight is awesome and dramatic. The fight scenes with little dialogues build tension of Afro's convictions. But this is a hard fight so far, worthy of a Swordmaster. If you wasn't good at this game before, you're definitely learning now. I personally don't think I suck, but this boss fight took me like 9 tries. Afro wins the fight as he cuts the Master's sword apart and he drops to the floor, taking the headband for himself. Here is when a man named Ninja first appears chronologically, suddenly speaking to Afro, promising to guide him and joins him on his journey.
And so it begins.
A woman, Okiku, appears as Afro sleeps. She says she is dead, and the two only spent 7 days together. She kept him sedated for 3 days as she sifted through his memories. On the 4th night he awoke and followed her into the valley. Okiku reveals Afro Samurai is known as the demon that kills as they sleep. These stories were told to children to control them with fear, but only became more scary as the stories were true. As she approached him, she was mixed with curiosity and fear. As she siphoned through his memories, she didn't expect to find such sad moments. She sensed that something else was beneath it all. Okiku was truly a trained thief, an assassin. She was ordered to release Afro's spirit after she's downloaded his memories, but is secretly followed to ensure that she can complete her duties. But Okiku considers herself a ghost, dreaming of being a woman, dreaming of being in love. She also feels like a prisoner. On the 5th night, Afro found her bathing at the waterfall, and he felt his eyes drop with desire. They shared the night together. But on the 6th night, Okiku confessed she is an assassin for the Cult of the Empty Seven, a group known as demons by civilians. Afro survives the 6th night, defending himself from so many assassins hiding across the mountainside and nearby town. Smoke is now spotted coming from the valley, and underneath this strange smoking contraption is a mysterious science laboratory manufacturing assassins. In the center of this secret cove causing these creations is its large power source. Killing the assassins repeatedly will overload the machine and will begin to break, although this does take a long time. Once Afro kills enough, the machine finally overloads and Afro escapes. It marked the beginning of the end for Afro and Okiku. Tonight is the final night until her death. The house is surrounded by assassins sneaking up on Afro. They must both buy themselves time until a boat arrives to pick them up. But a huge mystery assassin approaches. Brother 6 burns the house down with a flamethrower. This boss fight is stupidly hard. The flamethrower keeps us at a long range and is hard to consistently close in. Brother 6 can hit us up close and sends blasts of fire into the ground. Eventually he runs away after retrieving enough data, and as Okiku runs to Afro's safety, she's caught in the crossfire of battle.
So pretty, this instant stretching out to an eternity. And then, there you were. I don't know why you came back to me. If I was still alive, I would pretend it was because you loved me.
A new flashback appears. Afro is now a young boy with his father still alive. He watches him approach a man who wears the number 2 headband, Justice. They enter battle and the winner is Justice. He rightfully takes the number 1 headband off Afro's father's severed head and throws it at Afro's feet. The new number 1 challenges Afro to get stronger, grow old, and one day fight him. Afro is pushing through the Lowdown East Pass and is called out by Brother 2 on top of a mystical statue. Afro climbs the statue by cutting ropes and moving through the pass using cranes and mechanisms, whilst also being hunted by assassins. These assassins can arm themselves with miniguns and snipers, and you can kill them with a nice game of body part poker. A mysterious woman appears who knows Afro. Afro killed her father and she seeks revenge. But after these fights are finished, the head on the top of the statue opens a passage through to Brother 2 and Brother 6. This mini boss fight consists of Brother 6 shooting rocket launchers, and Afro splits them apart, directing it towards Brother 2.
Shut them down. Right belongs to whoever is left standing.
Hey, you talking to yourself again? Man, I worry about your sanity sometimes.
In the Frosty Mountains, Afro is still searching for Justice, the number 1, but is found by bandits who recognise the number 2 headband. Brother 6 appears and destroys the bridge to kill Afro, but he escapes. As Afro passes through the mountains, he's caught off guard by assassin clones. Watching Afro from afar is a familiar figure. Afro was cloned using the memories siphoned from Okiku, and the two have a climactic fight on a bridge.
Time is not on my side, so I must stay focused to the day that I die. For everyone I kill, it seems my enemies multiply. Only the strongest souls strive to stay alive. My pain is deep, you can see it in my eyes. Visions of my hellish spots pupils before he died. I'm hollow inside, my heart won't cry. Revenge is a must to the day of my demise. The #1 headband is the ultimate prize. Attack on instinct, that's the only way to survive. If there's blood on my blade, that means your life.
Spectating was Brother 6, who set explosives on the bridge using the Doppelganger as a distraction. After finally getting a second's rest, emerging from below is a flying robot that's kidnapped Afro.
You saw that, right? This some fucked up shit right here. I'm gonna go get some coffee. Keep an eye on that bullshit for me, will you? Go! I think I'm gonna take the rest of the day off.
Now we're flying in the sky fighting this robot falling mid-air. It is easily the coolest part of the game. It's so cinematic, dramatic. Honestly, I started getting a little bored because these regular fights just drag on, and this was so needed because I really wanted to start quitting the game. This fight is actually just awesome. It ends crash landing at the foot of a temple with Ninja drinking some coffee.
That actually worked. Well, at least your throat came in useful for something. That shit's like a hairy crash helmet. Now, where the hell are we?
But Afro finds a mysterious bear man. This bear man is a supposed metaphor for men's anxiety, but he's far from a metaphor. He attacks Afro and shows his swordsmanship, then disappears in gusts of snow to strike deadly blows. This bear man doesn't know who he is and leads Afro to the top of a temple shrine. It's now time to finish this. At the very peak of the shrine, the bear man laughs in his memory, remembering Afro's name, but the temple falls to pieces. Bear man says they both died a long time ago, and he has to kill Afro to stop his tears. The bear's mask gets split in half, remembering a little boy that was lost in a forest. His memories of killing to protect this boy drives him angry, but Afro slices the mask completely off. The shrines here stand for each warrior who was killed by the two headbands. The innocent people who suffer leave nothing behind, and he mutters Utsuru's name. Afro Samurai moves on with sorrow in his heart, and he sheds a tear for his lost childhood friend, Kuma.
Come on, squeeze out that tear. Just one for Gina.
The Empty Seven Clans Temple is a huge multi-layered level filled with assassin clones and several layers of enemies. 6 of the 7 brothers are gathered in a hall waiting for Afro's arrival, and in a test of strength unleashes more than I can even count. Afro can climb this large hall after pulling levers opening a path. This is the first time this game felt like a platformer, and honestly it's pretty fun. Sneaking around like a ninja climbing these mechanisms is cool. Afro enters this giant cube and is trapped inside with Brother 6, but only one may leave. In this final fight, Afro wins and pushes him into the cogs, tearing him apart. You know what? I take it back. I now hate this platforming. With the unpolished movement, these jumps sometimes just don't register, and I'm finding it extremely difficult to pass through the level. But once I get good, Afro now re-enters the arena and fights Brother 3. Actually no, he just runs away. Instead, sending way too many enemies after us, it's kinda pointless. The third and final platforming section takes us to the actual boss fight with Brother 5, who has attached a cannon to his arm, who kinda does nothing. I'm not really sure why this is here. All he does is jump around shooting at you. You've got to somehow deflect his bullets back at him, and a flaming assassin comes to headbutt you. This isn't a fight, it's just a major annoyance, and when you die you restart the whole platforming section again. I forgave a lot of the game's flaws until now. I'm genuinely frustrated at this poor level design and poor performance. But we just learn to parry the bullets back at him and he'll fall into the cogs and die. The assassins begin to overwhelm Afro and begin to tear him apart, and suddenly Afro returns in his mind to the same location where he killed his former master long ago, the same moment where he first met Ninja. Suddenly, Afro is overrun by ninja copies and has to fight his own friends. I killed like 400 ninjas here. Afro merely imagined Ninja this entire time, and if he insists on becoming number 1 and killing Justice, he must kill Ninja here. Ninja makes sure that Afro stays what he is and says his final goodbyes.
It was the bomb hanging out with you, Afro Samurai.
Afro reaches the mountain where Justice waits, only to find his rotting corpse wearing the headband. In his despair, now Afro's in this hellscaped land, Justice appears, saying that Afro only had to look inward to find him. Afro dedicated his life to revenge, to justice. Each kill was one step closer to justice and did the work for him. Justice considers himself Afro's father. His blood father gave him life, but he gave Afro direction. This truly is a great setting for a final boss fight. Justice can slowly mutate and become more demon-like as the fight progresses. He can shoot his arms underground and sneak attacks up on you. It's really cool. But he does directly challenge Afro to take the headband and to become God, in an epic fight between God and the devil. Justice now sliced into pieces. Afro takes the headband off Justice's corpse and earning the title of God. As he begins to remember all his close companions of his life, he decides to let the wind take away the headbands, ending this cycle of death forever. The game's ideas and concepts are great, the swordplay is very unique and it gives its identity, but it's very hard to ignore the poor platforming and poor camera work. It's not optimised whatsoever. A majority of the game time is spent because of the extremely padded levels. It's just basic enemies one after another, way too many dull enemies for the illusion of length. The story is so disconnected with itself, the levels don't make sense and doesn't explain how one gets to the next. There's no continuation, no levels are interconnected, it just ends and the next thing starts. All the levels may as well be randomized and it wouldn't change the progression of the story. It's good ideas with bad execution. Now, this whole video is of course a modern analysis, but I thought it would be interesting to take a look at the reception and reviews at the release of the game, to compare and see how public opinion has aged. One review particularly caught my eye. Afro Samurai may not be the masterpiece it could or even should be, but it's still one of the better games of its kind to come along in a while. Now, this is a long review, so I'll attach it in the description if you want to see it all for yourself. But the main parts that took my eye. Sadly, the details of the story get lost in translation. How these characters tie to the story, however, is hardly explained. The game's presentation is something of a mixed bag. At its best, there are some unique, innovative visual cues. However, these neat little flourishes are undermined by equally baffling corners cut. When Afro Samurai introduces new ideas, it generally works, making it all the more disappointing that some old design flaws rear their ugly heads. This somewhat aligns with my own opinion of the game. It has flaws in its production quality, cut corners that even just 2 months of development could fix completely. Maybe even less than that, I'm not a game dev, I don't actually know, but it doesn't seem like these little polishes would take long. The ideas and concepts introduced are worthy enough for you to try this game at least once for yourself. Afro Samurai did receive pretty average reviews at the time, which feels criminal because I sincerely believe that this could have been an incredible game, but also understandable considering its performance drawbacks. It sold roughly 430,000 copies that year, which isn't a complete loss, but not a commercial success. There is, however, a sequel, Afro Samurai Revenge of Kuma, that was made to be released in 3 parts, but it was cancelled after 1 release, and it is one of the 10 non-backwards compatible games for PS5. 10 out of over 8,000. But this is enough Afro Samurai for now. If you enjoyed, consider checking out some of my other videos, also like and subscribe to support the channel. Love you all, peace out.